That is right, guys. I have lost $250,000 over the past 2 weeks. So much that I had to move back in with my mom. And do you want a nicotine pouch? No? Okay. So anyway, so I have to live with her now. But what I'm going to be doing in this video is break down my losing week the past 2 weeks and also a trade I'm currently in that is likely to make all of that back and more. So I'm going to jump straight into it. Thanks for letting me move back in, by the way. I was a little bit stressed out as to what I was going to do, but I'm happy that I have a mom that cares about me and would never abandon me under any circumstances. And even though I'm 31 years old, allow me to move back in with her. So thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
We'll just go ahead and get into the video. All right, so I lost a series of trades last week. One of them was US CHF JPY. I sold here at this resistance zone in the daily and the weekly time frames. And what happened right here is price broke above the zone, hit the stop loss. It actually hit the stop loss on Asian session open, but it probably would have gone a little bit further and hit the stop loss a couple of days ago. So I've lost that one. Okay, cool. So I lost about 75, I think it was $80,000 on that one. Another trade that I was in was, let's actually just go here to the Telegram channel. My free Telegram channel is where I post all my trades. I'll put a link in the description. You can follow it for free here in Telegram. Let's go and find out some of the trades I was in. So there's CHF JPY, you can see that one. That stopped out. When we go back in here, here was the past weeks of trades P&L. Now I've already covered a couple of these, but we're gonna go and look at the ones that are most prolific right here. So AUD USD, let's start with that right there. So I had gotten short on AUD USD. Why did I get short? I got short because price was here at this resistance zone, and I sold whenever price came in here into the resistance zone. So this was last week. Price did in fact push above the zone, and as it was pushing above the zone, you can see right here that it did go to the stop losses that I had set. Now I had added to this trade and then I also drug my stop losses down. So I actually lost less on this trade than I would have otherwise. I think the net risk was 150K, and then after I added and then moved the positions back down into profit, I'm sorry, just closer to the entries, I ended up losing like 50 plus 40 plus 10, so about 100K instead of 150K. Risk was managed well. Euro AUD, I was able to get out and profit there for $45,000. That one was a trade that I closed a little bit early. Euro AUD was a really nice, easy trade. Basically, all I did was when price came here into this resistance zone, this is the one I was trading off of, hit that resistance zone, started to bounce downwards. Whenever it came to this resistance zone and started to bounce downwards, I ended up closing out of my trade right there, and then ended up popping back up, and then it would have actually fallen down here basically almost to the profit target today had I held the additional however long this was, right? So like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I made 50K on this instead of 100K, and you know what? I'm okay with that because I didn't have to sit in the trade, and it also gave me the capital to allocate to other trades. So the last one here that I'll touch on was there was AUD, USD, Euro AUD. There's AU when I tried originally to sell again. These ones ended up at around break even, then I got back in. Then there was Euro Canadian dollar here and GBP USD, which I covered in previous videos. So all in all, this was $171,000. Whenever you basket in the other losses that I had on CHF JPY, it's about a $250,000 loss. So normally people would get really upset about that. They would get very mad. They would get very frustrated. They would say they're going to quit trading, and they're going to say that they have to move back in with their mother, which, to be fair, my mom just had a surgery, so she's here at my house, and I'm just taking care of her.
Thank you, son.
I love
You're
you.
the best.
I love you.
Too.
I'm a big mama's boy. I'm such a big mama's boy, believe me. Nobody loves their mother more than me. She's the greatest mother this country's ever seen, folks, believe me. And it's so true, folks. It's so tremendous. You know it. I know it. We all know it, don't we, Sim? Amazing mother. So I'm taking care of her while she's here. That's why she's here. But to be fair, I did still have a bad losing week. Didn't have to move in with my mom, but I had a bad losing week. So I currently sit in this trade right here, Euro USD. So over the course of the past, I believe this has been almost 2 weeks I've been holding this one. Maybe a little bit shorter, but about maybe 2 trading weeks. This is in $184,000 of profit now. And I want to show you this trade. Here's all my entries, all the additional trades and everything. It started right here where price came into this resistance zone and I sold initially. Let's go to trading view, and I'm going to break this down right here. So Euro USD, whenever price got here into this resistance zone, I'm going to take all this off and we're just going to draw the original resistance zone that I traded off of. It was that right there. So price got into this resistance zone. I had a stop up here past these highs originally, right? So it was pretty far. And then I had another resistance zone right here around these highs. So here's what I did. I had 3 entries on this. The first entry I took right here when price got into this resistance zone. And then what happened is whenever price went there, I had given myself enough room with the stop loss and the position sizing and the risk to be able to add another one should it have gone up to this next set of highs right here. So after a couple days, and it started to drop, it ended up spiking back up into here to this region. So I ended up selling again when price got into there. So you can see this was my first entry right here. That's in $59,000 profit now. Went down into profit, popped up again into this region. I sold here at that zone. I put a stop just above. You can see the stop losses for these have now been tightened up, but the original stop was like higher than that. So that one went into profit right there. When it started going to profit, it broke below the recent lows, came back to retest, and then I added another position right here, my final third one. So here's how the trades looked. It's simply a sell at this resistance zone, right? It's a major daily, weekly zone. Sold at resistance, stop way above. Came up here to the next region, so I added another trade there with the stop just above that zone. Went into profit, and then when we go down here, I used the 4 hour, but we'll just go here to the 1 hour just for simplicity. Price broke below this region right here, and then it had went, and where is the little rectangle thing? Here we go. This region right here, right? So we broke below this zone. We came back up to retest it, went a little bit higher, came back below this zone, popped up again even further. All I did basically is whenever price popped up here into this zone, I sold again right there when price came up to test it, and I put a stop loss just above this little resistance zone. So I protected all my positions, and my original stops, which were higher, I've ended up dragging them closer, and then this last position that I have in this region, I have a stop loss, as you can see, just above that high right there. So this is the high that I had sold off of when I added the third time. Put my stop just above right there. So currently these are at almost $200,000 profit. If it goes down to the final target down here, which I might adjust just a little bit higher, I might take profit a little bit sooner, maybe instead of 1.1659, maybe like 1.167 around these little recent lows. I think that would be a little bit more reasonable instead of trying to go all the way for the extreme low. This will result in about $300,000 profit. Now, an important thing to point out is this is not guaranteed, of course. Nothing's guaranteed. You can't guarantee anything anywhere in life. I can't guarantee you anything in trading. Trading is risky. Most people lose money. You're probably going to lose money if you try to trade. Unless, of course, that is you make a little bit more when you happen to be right versus what you lose when you happen to be wrong. Now, I've happened to be wrong quite a bit here the past 2 weeks, and also on a lot of trades that ended up just turning around. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to manage that. So Euro USD is going great. That's all fine and dandy. I'm holding. I think that Euro USD is likely to continue lower. Time will tell. We will see what happens on Euro USD. Now, let's go to CHF JPY. CHF JPY did what I like to call a fake out. Some people will call this the Wagyu beef order block liquidity sweep, ICT institutional bullish fair value distribution gap candlestick that spikes above the zone, grabs the retail liquidity before falling back down. I don't play those games. I just call it a fake out. It broke above the zone, now it's come back below. Here is why I'm looking to just re-enter CHF JPY right now, and why I'm literally just nihilistically, psychopathically, potentially even sociopathically going to just probably re-enter literally as soon as I get off this video right here. The reason is because at this zone, price started to bounce initially. There was nothing wrong with the original trading idea. It was a perfectly viable trading opportunity. I sold, this even went into profit, and as it was in profit, I was in over $150,000 profit at the end of last week between between Euro USD and CHF JPY combined. Both of these little top two pairs are on my watch list. Now, it went into profit, but then it spiked back above the zone, came up into here, and then spiked above, and then Asian session spreads hit the stop loss. But again, this would have gone up further and hit the stop up there. Now what we have is we have price fell all the way back here, tried to go higher here, failed. Instead, it failed to go back, came down here, broke below the zone, and has come up and retested this zone, and now we have a rejection wick followed by two bear candles going down. If you were to ask me, using all my experience and using every single thing that I'm looking at the weekly chart. We've got this candle open. It's Wednesday right here. The market closes in 2 days. If we close below this, it's even more like this is going to fall down, and this ends up just being a test of the resistance zone with just a little bit of leakage past it, right? You can see on the big picture right here, it doesn't really look like it's too crazy. It doesn't really look too bad, right? It still looks like it's going to bounce there. On the daily chart, yes, we have a daily candle closing above it. Then we have this indecision candle. Now we have today's candle, which has fallen back below the zone, and then it's 1:03 p.m. Asian session changeover for the next session happens in 3 hours at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time here in beautiful Texas, USA. So if this daily candle closes right here, that's going to give us even more evidence that it's probably likely to fall from here. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely not. I'm never wrong. You can ask my mother. Every decision I've ever made in my life has been 100% correct and right, and I refuse to accept responsibility for anything that other people says is wrong. Just kidding. Yes, of course I could be wrong. Price could end up bouncing here, bouncing at that low, going back above the zone, sweeping me out, and I lose another 100 grand on this trade. anywhere from 50 to 100 grand. I could be wrong. However, by reading price action, by watching what's happening and just following price, instead of predicting price, I'm able to just say, hey, look, this has happened. If it does go down into profit, I stand to make a little bit more than I lose, right? Because if I sell here and I put a stop way above this zone in the highs, if it starts to go back above, I can really just get out a little bit early and take a little bit less of a loss than otherwise. So if I risk $100,000 on this trade, but it starts breaking above, I might be able to get out at around maybe $50,000 of loss or something, or maybe it just spikes up really quick and hits the stop loss. That happens and it's perfectly fine, right? That's what a stop loss is for. However, if this falls, it gives me plenty of profit potential, right? Even just a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. I want to show you what that would look like here. Even if I sell right here at market, as soon as I get done with this video and I put a stop, yeah, basically right there, just above the highs and above the zone. My 1-to-1 profit target just has to be right here. And if I'm risking $100,000 to make a potential $100,000, all price has to do is we just have to do this little bit of a fall right there, and that meets the profit target. Okay, now that could happen in one day, right? It could happen in 1 week. In rare cases, it might take like a month to play out, but usually, right, every time price has been at this zone, that took 1 day to fall that far. This took 1 day to fall that far. This took 2 days to fall that far. And the last time we were here, it took a couple days to just go halfway of this distance. If I'm right, this generally speaking shouldn't take too long, right? Sellers should come in, buyers will liquidate their positions, people will stop buying at that zone, and we'll just see a lot of sell sensitivity and a lot of sell volume come into the market to give us that little momentum move down here to the downside. So I will be waiting to see if that happens, and if I'm wrong, then so be it, right? I will lose some money, and if I'm right, I will make some money. When you pair that with Euro USD, which continues to go lower, then this could net me upwards of $400,000 of profit. Now, big little thing to time out here. Is that probably going to happen? No, probably not. And in most cases, I'm probably going to make at least 200 to 300K here. But even if I'm wrong, I still stand to make more profit than I've lost net cumulatively. This account that I'm trying to grow, I've already got it above $600,000. Now it's back to like 400,000 or whatever it is. Like, what is it right now? Let's see. $462,000, okay? So whenever you're risking high dollar amounts per trade, what you have to understand is that a large percentage of the account, win streaks will be great, sure. You'll double, triple the account, even quadruple the account before you withdraw, protect some profits, pay the taxes on it, grow the account again, keep going. But in this case right here, yes, it could go up, it could go down, but since I'm risking so much money per trade, what happens is that when I get on a win streak, I make an aggressive, large amount of money. But on a losing streak, yeah, I got to give a lot of it back too. So that's the part if you're going to be trading with high percentage risk per trade. I'm okay with that. I'm accustomed to this. I've been trading for almost over a decade now at this point. March of 2016, and we're in April of 2026. So I've been trading for 1 year and 1 month. Sorry, 10 years and 1 month, excuse me. And doing that, I'm used to this. I've been seeing the same thing over and over again. I made millions of dollars in stocks, Forex, and crypto. So with that being said, I'm okay with the risk. If you're not okay with the risk and you're going to risk something that you feel is comfortable for you, given your risk tolerance, given what you're optimizing for in trading, and given the amount of capital that you have. These are the trades I'm taking. I'm going to be calling them all out here in Telegram, doing regular posts as I always do. Again, link in the description of the pinned comment. I'm going to be waiting to see where these goes. Wanted to get a little update video out to you guys to show you guys that, yes, I'm on a losing streak, but fortunately, I didn't have to move back in with my mom. But if these trades here lose, then I probably will have to move back in with my mom. So, is that okay?
Yeah, you can move now, baby. You can
Okay.
move anytime.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and get off this video, and I'm going to pack my bags to move back in with my mom, and I will see you guys in the next video. I love you all. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.
Mwah.